That was epic. Absolutely epic. Sumit Nagal became the first Indian player to defeat a seeded player in the main draw of a Grand Slam in 35 years. How big that achievement is. And as Indians, we are very, very proud. So, Adish, what was your experience of the match?
Actually, you're not going to like my experience per se. When I saw that he's playing public in the first round, I didn't. I decided not to watch the match. I was
Yeah.
really sure that it is going to go public's way, and it is going to be, a one way street with public winning in straight sets. So, of course, being an Indian, being a tennis fan, so I was just checking on Google what the scores are, and
Mhm.
so to say. So I was actually looking when the first set was being in play, and Sumit won the first set, of course. But
Yeah.
being the sort of pessimistic Indian that I am, I thought, okay, the first set was sort of a fluke. So Bublik being a seeded player, he's a very well known player. So he'll
Yeah,
make a
yeah.
comeback. So when actually Sumit took a break in the second set, then I decided, okay, it is time. I switched on the TV. And because if actually he does win the match, I didn't want to miss it. So
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Sumit took an early break in the second set, yes, I decided that it is time to watch this match.
No, I was also very fearful of Bublik because I mean I was actually following him last year when he defeated Rublev at Halle,
Yeah,
and it was obviously a grass court tournament, and
right.
Bublik was kind of upping his momentum, and
Yes.
I thought that it's a very very tough match. But my story is little opposite to you. I started watching, and Sumit broke the first game itself,
Yeah.
and I had hope. Suddenly, Bublik broke him back. So I was like, oh, okay, okay, let's wait, let's wait. This might go the other
Yeah.
way or the way which most of us might have thought. But as first set was in, second set was in, oh, then all the WhatsApp groups were very, very active. And finally, it ended with a three setter. So, what a smashing, smashing match that
Yeah,
was.
so I just want to say that when the third set didn't go one-sided in Sumit's way, once
Hmm.
again my pessimism caught on, and because we have seen this so many times
Yeah.
that big players, if they are down 2 sets to love, and if they manage to win the third set, which is neck to neck, then suddenly
Hmm.
the tempo changes, everything changes. So when the
Yeah,
third
yeah.
set was
There
going
were a
down to,
couple of funny points at the end of the
yeah,
third set tiebreak, right? Uh, and just to close off maybe this topic before we move on, I also want to highlight the three matches he won prior to the first round in qualifying. So it's not just he came, he had a wild card, and okay, he won just the first round. That's it. No, it's actually four matches. It's a big deal because coming through qualifying again is maybe a even greater achievement that way. Right. So, Adish, I want to contextualize this a little bit, right? Because this Burmese is a massive achievement. And in terms of context, we keep saying 35 years, we keep hearing 35 years, right? All the Indian cricket fans, I'm sure they have this sentence etched into their memory. When Dhoni hit a six on the last ball of the World Cup, and Ravi Shastri said, India lift the World Cup after 28 years.
right.
Similarly, I think if you're a football fan, you would have definitely heard Peter Drury comparing Maradona's win to the Messi's win. And 36 years after Maradona and Mexico, that's what he said. So this years thing, right? 28 years, 36 years, and again this 35 years. So there is a measurement, a scale which is years, but it is so different than each other, isn't it?
Yes, of course, we are talking about World Cups. So, be
Yeah.
it Cricket World Cup or be it a Football World Cup. So, if you look at the number of tournaments that are organized, okay, so
Once in
when
4 years.
India won the Cricket World Cup in 1983, and
Hmm.
then India won it again in 2011. So,
Yeah.
technically, there was a gap of
28
28
years.
years,
Yeah.
technically, but so 87, 91, sorry, 87,
96.
92,
Yeah.
96, 99, 2003,
3,
and
7, and
2007.
11.
So
Yeah.
that is only six World Cups. That is only six tournaments,
Yeah.
right? As
Yeah.
against that, when we are talking about tennis, 35 years translates to 35 into 4. That is
Ah.
140 Grand Slams, 140 tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So that's not being able to achieve the same thing say
Yeah.
in 6 tournaments versus not being able to achieve the same thing in
Yeah, yeah.
140 tournaments. So if you compare that scale wise, that's almost 20 to 23 times a bigger feat. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And obviously, you cannot say that there was nobody participating. There was nobody, even if somebody played, he was not playing against a seeded player. Because at some point, you will always play a seeded player, right, to win the tournament. So there is no
Of course,
denying
I
that you
I
will play the
personally
seeded
think that it was disadvantageous to him or unlucky for him to play a seeded player in the first round, because we know
player.
how the draws work, right?
Yeah.
So if you're unseeded, you have the chance to play a seeded player in the second round.
Mm.
Not necessary you have to play the first round against a seeded player.
Yeah.
So I would rather say he was unlucky that he got a seeded player in the first round itself, and still he managed to do this. So it's an incredible achievement. I don't think Indians who are not closely associated to tennis understand the magnitude of this achievement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So obviously, we are recording this episode after, unfortunately, he lost his match to Shang. And but I want to come to this point to elaborate on the amount of resources other players have versus what Indians generally have. So let me read out a few things, right? About Shang. So that will give everybody the magnitude of resources. So Shang is managed by market leaders IMG. He already has an Nike and Babolat contract. Both of his coaches, his tennis coach as well as fitness trainer, both were traveling with him and were courtside. His parents too are former international players in other sports who were courtside. And again, he's backed by Chinese Federation. I don't exactly know what that means, but apart from that, obviously China hosts a Masters 1000 event, a 5500 series, and a 250 series ATP event. So he obviously is entitled or kind of likely to get wildcards there. As against that, Sumit was only traveling with his coach. He wanted to have his trainer also, but probably he could not afford it. That is the depth or the level of difference that both of these players had when they played the second round.
Yeah, so I really don't know what to say about this. It's just unfair on the part of an Indian player like Sumit. He had to first of all come through the qualifying rounds.
Yeah.
He was actually ranked higher than Shang, I believe, prior
Hmm.
to the tournament. And
Yeah.
it's not, I wouldn't call the Chinese guy entitled, because I think at this level, these are some of the basic necessities a professional
Hmm.
tennis player needs to have. So rather
Yeah.
than calling Shang entitled, I would really, you know, I would root for Sumit Nagal to get supported for better facilities, which include everything that is basic at least. Which means
Yeah.
he needs a coach, he needs a physio, he needs a fitness trainer, maybe a mental coach, whatever. So, if,
Hmm.
for example, what I expect is if Djokovic has a team of, say, 10 people,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
maybe because he's Djokovic, he may have two, three guys extra. But that doesn't mean that a player like Sumit Nagal needs to travel with only one or two. He needs to have
Hmm.
at least four or five guys, and not just Sumit Nagal. All the
Yeah.
players who are playing professionally, who are in the top 200, 300, I
Hmm.
think they should be entitled to these facilities.
Wow, that's such a valid point. Right. So now I think you have touched on this point about the size of the team and all. But a related point again came up very, very frequently in all the media outlet and all the news that was coming, right? So everybody remembers Sumit giving an interview where he said that he had 80,000 rupees in his bank account. That is
Yeah,
roughly 800 pounds or 900 euros, however
right.
you want to relate it. But once he won that first round, the focus in news always was that, okay, oh, now his bank balance is 1 CR or 80,000 pounds, if you better relate to that language. But I thought that was out of proportion. I mean, why focus on money instead of the performance and all the other great things that he has achieved?
Well, I just think it is very unfair and really childish, to be honest. I mean,
Maybe,
doesn't
uh,
he deserve, doesn't he deserve a lot more than 1 CR in his bank account?
yeah.
Come on, come on. He's the best tennis player right now in India, definitely. All right,
Of
he has
course.
played in a Grand Slam. He has defeated a seeded player at the Grand Slam. And when he was talking about his financial hurdles, struggles, whatever that may be,
Mm.
so it was not in a sense where we should be, talking about his income or how much he's making and how much he's not making. He was just making a point about how
Yeah.
difficult it is for him to continue playing on the tour. He
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
said it like he is in this for the money. He was saying it out of the fact that it is being difficult for him to make it on the tour, in the sense that he needs to continue playing to improve his
Yeah.
ranking, to improve his points, and which in turn gets you entries to the big tournaments, the 250s, the
Yeah.
500s,
Yeah.
the Grand
And
Slam. So that
of
was what he
course,
was saying.
no, I
So
am saying,
when
of course.
he wait, so when he made 150,000, I think, Australian dollars by winning the first round.
Mhm.
So I don't understand why the media would
Yeah, and
say
I was
that.
saying that of course it will get utilized in his store expenses only, right? It's not like he's utilizing it somewhere else. And more so, I thought as a player closer to top 100, they should earn a lot more. That is how the ecosystem will develop, right? When somebody is earning, then that money will percolate somewhere across the last level of granularity. That's how the upcoming players, the coaches, the federations will have that kind of money to ultimately participate and maybe win tournaments going forward.
No, of course, because if a player who is played a Grand Slam, who has defeated a seeded player at a Grand Slam, isn't making good money, then
What's
honestly,
the point?
even if money is not the motivation, but come on, basic survival, you need to have above average survival. If you are
Hmm.
the best at something in the whole country, isn't
Yeah.
that at least the basic that a person should achieve? And secondly, I'm sorry, I just want to disagree with you that his prize money, if it goes to him, his coach, his physio, his trainer, and some other coaching expenses and all that, I understand that. But for a person like him, who is bringing so much glory to the country, who is
Yeah.
inspiring so many kids around India to
Hmm.
pick up a racket and do this, I think if he has to spend this money on his tour expenses, I think that would
Ah,
be that wouldn't be
yeah.
a nice thing. If
That's a
it
great
it
point. Yeah,
goes
yeah,
into coaching and physio, and that's fine.
yeah.
But I think, yeah, something needs to be taken care of.
Cool. So after this performance, we hope that the situation there becomes easier for not only Sumit but everybody who is
Yeah.
closer to 100, who is playing professionally, and who has those aspirations and obviously the talent to make it. Perfect. So I think then let's talk a little bit more. So you touched upon this point, but let's talk a little bit more about the impact all of this is going to make, either externally or internally. Personally, I feel internally within the country, this will have a massive impact. What would you have to say around that?
Well, I hope so. I truly hope so. That a lot many kids pick up a tennis racket, not just as a hobby, but to really make it big in the tennis world. Because now, this is a very good stepping stone. So if we build from here, then I
Mhm.
think something can be really achieved. Unfortunately, singles has not been India's forte for a really
Yeah,
for
yeah.
as long as we can remember. We have had a massive amount of success in doubles, but singles has eluded us. There has been a Ramesh Krishnan long back. We had
Yeah,
Vijay Amritraj before that. Of course, Pace with his brilliant bronze medal in the Olympics. He
yeah.
also defeated Sampras at one of the tournaments, if you
Only match
remember.
they played. The only match
Yes.
they played.
Yeah, right.
I think it was 6-3, 6-3. I
Yeah, yeah.
quite
It was
remember his
straight set. It
last
was a straight set match.
match point was an ace, probably.
Yeah,
I don't know,
correct.
but probably I'm remembering that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So after that, we had a Somdev, and of course, we had a Sanya. So, no, nothing really consistent. We have had what, five, six players in the past 40 odd years. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, if we skip one or two specific events, then in general, second or third round has been the best.
Yeah.
Now, don't think that I'm contradicting myself. Playing the third round at a Grand Slam is a big achievement.
Yeah.
It is almost an impossible achievement. So not taking anything away from them, but unfortunately, what we want to see is an Indian win the Grand Slam in
Mhm.
singles, women's,
Yeah.
men's,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So if this inspires a lot of kids to go out there and believe that even they can do it, then great.
Yeah. So we just did an episode on Rohan and how he might have inspired or might inspire a lot uh, of people, maybe around 25 to 30, to take up doubles. And he has really showed the way for doubles. Maybe I hope Sumit does it for singles, so that as an Indian or as somebody who wants to choose either, I think he should have a role model, so that maybe he can follow him or her uh, to make it big.
You know, off topic, I want to watch a Grand Slam where I'm supporting a player just because he's Indian. This has not happened in such a long time. We follow or we support specific players because we love them, be it the big three
Yeah.
or whatever it has been. But it was so much pleasure that, to be completely biased from the first point just because he's Indian was a great feeling.
Right, and I was imagining while I was watching the second round, I was imagining if he wins, he'll play Alcaraz, and he has played Federer. He has taken a set of Federer.
Yeah,
So with Alcaraz, you never know. But yeah, not to be, at least this time. But hopefully, yeah, we'll see that, and we'll see your dream come true at some point.
yeah.
Uh, Coming to our last point, just because this year started on such a great note, I feel that so many tournaments, the entire season is ahead. Hence, what excitement do you feel because of this particular achievement going forward?
I personally want to see him play at the Roland Garros for sure. The main draw. He has done
Yeah,
it here. I hope he can replicate the same or maybe even do better.
and
Whatever
he has been
little or
performing.
above average knowledge I have of tennis, it looks like he has a really solid game from the back. He's consistent. So
No,
maybe
I
he
was
could
saying
do
he was
really
good
well
on
on
clay
clay.
also, right? In
Yeah.
general, he's good on clay. He
Yeah.
might have some, not wild cards, but some main draw entries when it comes to 1,000 masters. You never know.
Yeah. I would really like to watch him play at the Roland Garros. I think he can do brilliantly on clay, and maybe the third round that which has eluded him this time, or maybe that Alcaraz face off which
Battle,
eluded him
yeah.
this time. Yeah, why not? And of course, with Paris Olympics being
Yeah.
around, we always want an Indian to do well at pretty much every event. But tennis being our sport, definitely. Of course, we are expecting a lot from doubles, which we
Yeah.
do every Olympic. But singles has, we don't really expect too much from singles. But
Yeah, we'll start
let's,
to.
yeah,
We'll start to this year, hopefully. That's a great way to end this episode. If you have liked what we do, it would be a big help if you can click on the subscribe button, and if you can share this episode with your tennis fans who are your friends or otherwise. Let's continue building on this, and hopefully, India will have a fantastic year. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day, and see you in the next episode. Bye
bye
bye.
bye.